Two brains, one cell. The return.
Fuck yeah! Thank you for the paper. I'll write the penning. What? I don't fucking know what I'm saying.
It's really hard not to be a content creator in the upcoming generations.
We took the podcast, an idea, and then we went south.
And my actions, I think, were a pretty big factor for how we continued to shape the show from that point on.
Feel yellow. Why the fuck am I yellow? I feel so yellow. Is that better? I just what? Fucking what?
What? That was the panacea. Oh, I'm gonna just move this microphone over. Does that change the color?
No. It's the light.
Am I black now?
Oh no. Welcome to the Scorner podcast. No, it's like the light faces like a direction. Usually I have it bouncing off the wall, but I don't know why the fuck this time it just won't do the same effects. And now it's pointing at me, and we're here, we're alive, we're functioning, we're moving. I need to shave everything. You know what? That'll be the beginning. That works. How is everyone? I hope everyone's doing great. No one else is here. Abandonment issues, we all have them. Today it's just the two hosts is yours truly, Jordan, and
two brains, one cell. The return.
Fuck yeah. So if your microphones have not been blown out yet, welcome. So one thing I wanna just cut right into it. Want to cut right into the middle of everything, and I want to like get transparency in there. We took the podcast, an idea, and then we went south. We went so fucking south. The Jersey Devils looking at us. So here's an idea. Let's not. I say that. So if you guys go through, maybe you guys are new listeners, maybe you're old time listeners, whatever. Thank you guys for listening. But we've been doing themes, and we started off on themes, and like, it was fun themes where the audience could even participate or something like that. And these last handful of podcasts, and we have some in between, and we'll still kind of keep that just to BS back and forth. But, you know, those won't be as common anymore. But we had these, like, themed episodes, and we haven't been doing them. My fault, really. A lot of it has been my fault, truly. I should talk to the guy saying, hey, here's the theme. I think it'll be fun. Let's fucking do it. And then when I do ask for someone else to make a suggestion, I put my fucking screws into it. Someone says, hey, we should do this. I'm like, yeah, we should do it, but all together and change your whole idea. Thank you for the paper. I'll write the penning. What? I don't fucking know what I'm saying. I detoured. I took a detour. We down in Jersey. I'm getting the fuck out of Jersey. That's where it is.
You said, by the way, that when you said that we were going back, I flashed back to the very beginning of the show when I joined it, which, let's face it, that was really the beginning of three years ago. And it still pisses me off to this day that one piece of shit who said that we didn't read the news ended up getting the satisfaction of us not doing news stuff anymore. And to this day, I'm like, but I don't know what the hell this guy's talking about. I read the articles. I formed an opinion. I think the guy just heard my opinion and thought that can't be the opinion of someone who read the article. Maybe we had to come up with a certain opinion in order for it to be acceptable. I don't know. I hate it when assholes get the W. And over the course of the last 3 years, we have tinkered a lot with the show. And by tinkered, I mean set it on fire. Yeah. Many times, which, by the way, especially early on, it was my doing. I was so obsessed with maintaining order in so many other parts of my life that the side of me that just needed some chaos kept coming out on the program and be like, so what were we talking about in the news today? I'm like, hey, did you guys did you guys ever have night terrors? I just couldn't let and so my actions, I think, were a pretty big factor for how we continued to shape the show from that point on. And so then we get to this season. We started off strong. I don't remember if the Hot Ones. I think that was like last season, right? The Hot Ones was
Yes,
the previous season.
that was the
Yeah.
last
Okay.
season.
So within the last year and a half, 2 years, we had. I think that a lot of the episodes were interesting challenges. I loved doing the Hot Ones. The tier list was a strong episode. And then I look at like last week's episode or the last one that I think people were going to be listening to prior to this one, and that one I think yeah that was a quality episode. Didn't have a
Mhm.
theme, but we had episodes like that are great as a break between themed episodes. And I realize that this is the core of the issue. This is the main thing that I want to bring not just to you, Jordan, but to our listeners and to the other people who should be on the show that we locked out of the room because I'm adamant about Jordan and I just having this like one episode per season where it's just us.
We gave him a middle finger and said, "See ya."
Is and I welcome you to disagree with this, Jordan. It's I think the core premise of this show that we were going with for a while, us hanging out as the boys, is more of a we already made it kind of show where we all have strong enough platforms that we have audiences that are dedicated listeners to us. I think the core issue is that we have to make a show that is has more of a fight in it, is more trying to deliver on really supreme content that is funny, but is also intelligent and insightful and motivating because everyone on the program is a creator. Lots of people have at least some creative side to them now, whether they're just posting tweets on X or X's on tweet, or they got their OnlyFans, or they got their lonely bands, or whatever, or their Twitch streamers. It's really hard not to be a content creator in the upcoming generations.
Hmm.
So what I was thinking about when we were going to talk about this episode is, can we put put enough segments together per episode that give us some consistent through lines. Like if we had at least some kind of like creative section where we either talk about videos we produced or even videos that we watched or even just like updates in the space. So if we do end up talking about news, it's at least news and updates that have impacted us. So we're not just making opinion off articles that we read that maybe we're affected by, maybe not, but we're actually talking about stuff that happened, that is happening, that is going to have an impact on us. So that's the. I'll stop. I'll give it back to you.
For one, you have ghosts in your house. Two,
What?
go back on the footage. An orb shot right over your fucking head.
An orb?
Yeah, like a little pulsating
Cool.
light was.
Could be a moth. We get
It could
we
have
get
been a
moths.
moth. Maybe I just want to see a ghost. Okay. Maybe I just
One of
want
the
to see.
moths had actually camouflaged itself on our because my closet has like kind of like a wooden finish to it,
Uh huh.
and the moth had was just like hiding on it,
With a
kind of like
knife.
Solid Snake putting out that camo gear. It was
Yeah.
impressive. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, moths are fucking deadly now. They carry Glocks. Yeah. Back. Yeah. So I do agree. So I think that we can definitely, because I go back to the hot ones, because honestly, guys, there's been a few episodes that stand out from every other episodes we've made, and I'm going to say truly my top 3 episodes. And it's going to sound so weird, but it's because of a reason I'll tell you in a second. So the number one episode that I fucking loved making was the hot ones. And you know, we didn't even get into the hot ones until like 30 minutes in the episode.
Yep.
We didn't. And I feel like we can continue to go kind of like that, where we have that little bit of time where either we could talk about something that's impacting our lives, like a news situation, or guys, I just released this video and I would love to dive into it a little bit, or this Walmart just killed my kitten. Like, we can sit there and find a way to like bring up those where it's like it's a topic, it's a news story, it's a click, it's a whatever, and still have a theme to the episode to kind of wrap everything in. I feel like we can do that. We will just need everyone's help, everyone's communication, and also you, the audience. If you don't like it, we won't fucking do it. But it's like, everyone seemed to like him. That was the one episode that stands out from the rest. My favorite episode to make, and that's like a balance of what we want to do in the future. Correct? A decent balance.
It's a step forward. It's like, okay, if you break down the formula for some of the best episodes of The Simpsons in every season, um, every season of The Simpsons would have at least one episode where they travel somewhere. One year is Japan, one year is New York or Australia. They would have some episodes that are more like family contained episodes.
Mm-hmm.
They would have ones that don't really have much to do with the family and focus on other side characters and supporting characters. They would have the Halloween episode every year. In fact, they would typically kick off with the Treehouse of Horror. And there was some consistency to what would people expect out of a season of the show. And not every show gets the luxury of being able to do that because The Simpsons is a cartoon and they can kind of do whatever they want. They can go into different places. And mind you, I haven't watched like a full season of The Simpsons since like I, I late 2000s, if that. Like I randomly watched an episode of The Simpsons where Homer's father dates one of Marge's sisters, and it was kind of incestuous. And it was just like, okay, well, good luck, guys. So what I was thinking is that we want to kind of go along those lines. Like if we manage to do a Hot Ones challenge every season, if we manage to do a tier list episode every season, if we manage to have these different themes um, consistently, and then cycle in the ones that people are liking, cycle out the ones that people aren't liking so much, and then when you look at the course of the 12 to 14 episodes that we produce before we take the summer off, thank God for that, is you will see that we are iterating on each of these individual ones. So let's go through like what has been some of the most consistent. Sorry, let me try that again. What have been the like the clear? This is a themed episode, right? So we did a tier list episode. We did the Hot Ones episode, which I agree. I think that was
Mm-hmm.
our strongest episode so far. We have one where it's just you and I, which I personally really appreciate that we do.
Same.
If Funker and Charles are wondering, just blame me for this one. I was the one that said lock the doors. We have we I don't think we've been super consistent with it, but I try to have at least one like pure creative talk episode
Mm-hmm.
where we just diving into like where are our creative careers at, what technical problems are we having, what's our vision for that. So that's usually a strong one.
Tech
And
space.
that's yeah. So those are the ones that come to my mind. And then on top of that, also we were trying to do video challenges too,
Mm-hmm.
which as the reigning champ, 3 for 3,
Yeah.
right? I got my belt.
Somehow.
I it was those were also strong, right?
Oh yeah.
Those were good and those were funny, and it almost seemed like I think us trying to do one each episode was just this kind of like stacking effect where it was tricky for people to do it for the first one, and it's almost like a race, right? Like some people can get ahead on it, some people started to lag behind, and then eventually everyone but me became a bitch. So, however, if it was something that could come up when the time was right. Like, okay, everyone, this is the next challenge. Is we're doing, I hate when I put myself on the spot list. A video where you hit yourself with the head with a bottle. Maybe my video comes out a week later. Somebody else's video comes out in 2 weeks. Somebody else comes out in a month. Whatever. But at least like, the challenge is kind of like going on in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think like honestly, with some trial and error, like I think we can be there. Like I think we can have like, guys. I mean, we take 3 months off, usually 4 months, because it takes us a little bit to get back on the move. But take 4 months off, so you have 4 weeks in a month. We release 15 episodes a year. Is that right? That was just quick math. I know that doesn't mathing. That's not mathing. Hold on. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna say something and then fuck it up. Hold on. Where's my calculator?
It's by hand, or I'm not doing this. I don't trust the machines on this. I
Okay,
ain't being automated out.
You do that. You do that. My brain's not working, and we're going.
If we would stop in June, so we're looking at 9 months worth of production, on average 2 episodes per month. So 2 times 9 would be 18,
Okay.
which seems like a lot because we probably skip Christmas or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say 15 to 16 is the sweet spot.
Okay, just saying. Fucking guessed that out of my head. I wasn't actually doing math, guys. I'm too fucking about it. But no, like we do 15 episodes a year, so it would be so easy to have off the cuff guest episodes, whatever, that maybe we invite them on the challenge episodes, maybe not, or themed episodes, but then we have like those 5 where it's like it's me and you chatting, or it's Skull on the Road or whatever, where I do a podcast where I meet you or something like that. Like, random episodes we can throw in there, but then like have 10 themed episodes that the whole time period, the whole season is like, let's try to nail this one, let's try to do this one, and let's try to do this one. And I think that's something that is reasonable to do. And it all comes down to a lot of communication. I sound like President Obama. Keyword I want to make sure it's stated. I said President Obama because I love him. And he's a good looking man. Anyways, but it's like, I think we could do that. I really think we could do that. And I will not give credit where credit's due. As we're trying to find our path to what we're doing, we went from YouTube, just YouTube alone. We went from 7 average views to 20 average views of podcasts. And we're not posting a bunch of shorts and stuff. This is all just built up over time. In the first year, it was 0 to 7. Some podcasts wouldn't even get a fucking view. Not even from me.
Some podcasts didn't even exist.
Yeah.
Like, we would record it and then it would just not make it to air.
Yeah, there are episodes just missing. And some of them are actually on the computer. Some of them got uploaded and they're just gone. They are gone. Like, there was one you guys did when I had to step away and it's gone. So, but that's the thing, is there's so much trial and error to find out where we are. And the one thing you brought up at the very fucking beginning, and it gets me, because not in a negative way, but it gets me because you brought up the podcast idea that I'm trying to create is one that, is like, if you haven't listened to it, I highly recommend it. It's called The Yard, and it has Ludwig. It has some of the other creators on there, but they're all successful. They have all made it, and they're talking about just random shit in the world and talking about what they like and things like that. And I see that, and I want that. Like, that's what I want. But I also understand maybe not everyone wants to listen to a fucking person who don't know what 2 times 8 is. 16. Fuck yourself. Thank you for correcting me on the math. You're like,
Checks out.
yeah.
Checks out. Dude, I don't know math either. I had to confirm it for my own sake.
Dude, honestly, I have to do quick. If I don't answer quick, then there's no chance I would get it. Once I start thinking about it too much, nope. I second guess myself. But that's what I want. Like, that's what I really want, and that's what I'm going to still try to fight for. And it's like the gaming news. Guys, I can't fucking tell you how successful it would be, how fucking big it would be, and how amazing it would be to do gaming news every fucking day. Whenever something comes out, being able to release something quick, get it edited and release it same day within a few hours. It would be so much fun, and I would love to do that. And I would love to see the team of Skull Hunters being able to. Joseph finds out that there is a Warframe thing. I just don't go with it. It's
Good guess,
Warframe thing, but
Warframe is a game everybody's asked me to play that I just don't feel like playing. So it's an interesting guess.
I was trying to think of that game.
World of Warcraft?
Yes.
Yeah.
You got that out of
Yeah, because that's what 12 hours worth of gameplay is, just like fighting the enemies.
Best podcast yet. But it's like if something happened on that game and it was like newsworthy or like a new glitch or something like that, you can make a fucking 30-second TikTok, 30 seconds short, whatever, dive into it very quick, very fast, get it edit, get it posted, and it would do fucking numbers. I would love that. And you could see on my TikTok, I was doing it with Dead by Daylight, even though we were away from that part of our podcast, because I love doing it. I love doing it. I love getting people's opinions. I love getting people to grab onto my hook and fucking pull them back because I love fishing. So it's like, I love that. But it takes time and dedication and hours sitting on a computer researching because you have that one fucking bastard ass lovely man who left a comment and it fucking sticks to the back of you. You're just like, oh, well, I didn't do my fucking research, so I'm gonna fucking do my research. So it's like, it gets into the whole entire thing. And you get to the point where you're always questioning your ability to do the research. And I guess that makes you a good news reporter, but I'm not a fucking news reporter. I'm a 24-year-old with too much in his life. I'm a 24-year-old who's too successful. No. But it's like, I would love to do that, but I love how we getting to the point where we are now, to where we're seeing where we want to go with things, and I'm actually able to take the step back and see what we're doing, what we need to do, and what we should be doing. And I know all that kind of sounds like the same thing, but in my head, it's not. It could be I'm dyslexic, or autism, but it could be many of the, like, being able to step back and looking at it. Hey, the podcast is this. We were doing this. This is what we talked about. Why aren't we doing this? Well, because I have no time in the day to research any of it, or I didn't get it set up, or I just fucking forgot. Okay. What do I want out of the podcast? I want everyone to come on, chat, and see, but we're not there yet. So it's like, okay, then the answer's in front of you. Do the fucking answer. So that's kind of where we're going with the sorry. I'm emotional. So that's where we're kind of directing the podcast to. And yeah, I mean, once again, you can't hide the facts that we've grown and it's been great. And there's one thing that I devote to this day is if I don't like an episode of the podcast for whatever reason, if I'm not proud to release it, it doesn't get released. It is what it is. If I'm not proud of an episode and it's handed back to me saying, hey, it's good. If I don't feel proud about it, I would just say, you know what? I honestly, guys, I don't feel like this was our best work. Probably shouldn't. And I'm proud of everything we've released on the channel. I really am. I haven't regretted anything other than my channel, but I haven't regretted anything on the podcast channel. Haven't had to make an apology video yet. That's good. And I've said a lot of things about Jews, and I've not had to make an apology video yet. So go me.
I would be shocked if the Jews come for you before they come for me.
They couldn't afford it. That was.
I don't know. I mean, have you seen? Oh, never mind.
I just want to put out there that was a good joke. That was a good comeback. Okay, that's good. But yeah, anything you would like to add on to like this point of like our new changes and what we're going further?
For one, one of the ways that I have observed the growth and evolution personally for me has been how I look on camera. Mm-hmm. There was the very, very early on, nothing looked good. You taught me the lighting. I saw the light. And then the green screen came down and it got closer to kind of where I wish I lived, which is some futuristic planet where people have to hide indoors because there's some sort of like gay radiation going on above. So, everything is a dollar cost average. And I'm really happy about that. I feel like what I'm seeing here is sort of like the new ground zero, a new foundation to build off of. And actually, I wanted to share something with you just on the subject of regret. Because one thing that our longtime listeners know about me is that I went through a fair amount of challenges the last couple of years because I was my earning capacity got lower and lower and lower, but the cost of living got higher and higher and higher, and things were going to come to a head. And I remember telling my partner that, listen, I think we can do the apartment for one more year if we get a break, something great happens, one of us is making a lot of money, cool. We can keep going with it. Maybe we'll even find something more expensive to live in. But then, as I also mentioned, or her father, my father-in-law, common law, passed away over the summer, and the silver lining was it made sense for us to come live here with the mother now, which we are now doing. And it's I appreciate the fact that like my partner asked me, "Hey, can we just move out now?" And I had my struggles. I had to vent a few times, but I was trying to figure out how do I explain the fact that I don't regret this. That was the hardest part, is how do I walk away from that 3 years not feeling regret. And I remember that for reasons that it is not my place to say, Jen could not work on her acting in this house at the time. Some of the more astute people are probably figuring this out, but the point being is that she was blocked off from being able to pursue her craft. When we moved into the apartment, those barriers were all gone. She was taking classes. She was auditioning, mostly like virtual auditions, right? Because of COVID and all of that nonsense. But she was practicing her characters. I would hear her like doing impressions of a horse. Like I'll just be clacking away on my computer. She's like, "Joseph, are you sure I'm not going to distract you?" I'm like, "No, don't worry about it." Then moments later,
You
she's a
know, I
perfectionist, right? So
laugh,
she's doing this
but
for like an hour. And over the course of those 3 years, she was able to get on a couple of. She got a few wins. She got to do a Zelda commercial, which made her a Zelda fan for life now. So that's a W. She got a couple of short films, couple of voiceover gigs. She was the voiceover for a Sunwing commercial. I think you guys have Sunwing in the States. I don't know if you do. I don't know if you don't. But like,
oh no, link me.
I mean, she was, she was. We'd be watching Family Feud while it's dinner time, because the mom loves Family Feud, or maybe just Steve Harvey, whatever. And the Sunwing commercial came on, and that was her voice. Those 3 years in that apartment enabled her to double down on her career at long last, and we actually got some really good tangible results out of it. So I can say that I don't regret that. I can say that as her partner, as her boyfriend, and as someone who supports her and believes in her, I was willing to maintain that lifestyle so that she can pursue her craft, and she got a hell of a lot further. So it's hard. Like it's hard not to. Not everybody gets an opportunity to have a good reason for things, and I was very lucky to say that we had a good reason for it. And now that time has passed, and now we're in a new situation. So, and talking about the show, I don't regret a fucking thing. It's been a good 3 years, a lot of laughs. I still like think about some of the jokes that have come up over the course of the 3 years that still make me laugh to this day.
Mhm.
So it's improved my life. It certainly improved my capabilities as an editor. It's encouraged me to sort of rise to a lot of the technical standards that you had set with your visuals and with your audio. So I'm happy for all of that. I'm just my motivation right now. The trouble that I was having, and you probably noticed, I was not turning episodes over to you in the 2 weeks that I was supposed to have turned it over to you. Some of these
Mhm.
I couldn't get to you uh, in a month's time, and the reason why was because the content was in that unsatisfying middle ground where it wasn't that it was easy to do. There was some technique that involved, but it wasn't so difficult that there was sorry, but it wasn't hard enough to be like a good challenge. And it we weren't producing something that I feel can really draw in a larger audience because it just wasn't there.
Mhm.
We're getting closer to it, but it just wasn't at that point. And then the last thing that I wanted to say is I don't feel like I imparted enough of who I am and what are my values onto the show, I kept treating this like this is a Skull Hunter home based project, and I'm still an outsider. What the hell for? I've put in my time just like everybody else, plenty of time into it, and I kept having that sort of arm's length approach to where, yeah, I'm helping out because if I don't step in, it just doesn't get done. But now my creative brain is really starting to think of how can we nail every episode? How can we tag each every episode so that we can visit other niches and encourage some other people in other areas to join us to be a part of this project? How can we really embody Skull Hunter?
Mhm.
Because what we have here is a brand that has some extremely strong foundations to it because it is about gaming, it is about overcoming challenges, it is about hitting those achievements, right? Skull hunters looking for the most difficult achievements and then getting them. And so how can we put more of that into it? And I think we my vision for it would probably not kind of stop calling it the Skull Hunter podcast at a certain point and just call the damn thing Skull Hunters and give people plenty to be surprised and delighted about when they tune in to watch our show, which is the final thing too, which is I I want us to eventually have like that like chill podcast where, yeah, we're doing like I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the people that you were talking
The
about.
yard.
Yeah, the yard. And yeah, that and I think you said it better than I could, which is, hey, they all made it. They all built their platforms. And what we need is not just a great show, but we need a great institution, something that eventually you're going to move on from. I'm going to move on from. Charles, Funker, everybody who's with us now will all become alumni. But we have such a great piece of media that we can hand the torch off to other people when the time comes and say, keep this ship going. We'll come back to visit from time to time. We'll show up. We're not going to become strangers to it. But something that gives people an opportunity to sort of rise to that like 4K 60 FPS good quality shit that everybody else is doing.
Yeah. No, that's pretty well it. Um, and I think we can get there. Like I'm not, I'm concerned about a lot of things in my life, but how we'll get there. As my time being a content creator, that I know a lot of people are like, I've been doing since I was 4. Yeah, well, good for you. But as a content creator that only been taking content creating seriously for 2 years, I will truly state that I don't know how we're going to get to point B, but we're gonna get there. Like I don't know the roads, I don't know the weather, I don't know anything. But what I do know is we will get there, and it's something I'm passionate about. My whole goal in life is to help as many people as I possibly can, and to give my friends and my family, a roof over their heads, or give them a steady income, give them a dream job, or at least help them get to the dream job. So I don't know when we will get to the where we can be like the yard or stiff socks or whatever. I don't know when we will get there, but the journey to get there is what's going to be the best part about getting there. Because if you don't enjoy the journey, if you don't try the things on that journey, you're never going to succeed when you get there. You're going to get at the end and you're going to want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And the best
Yeah.
example of this is I grew up too fast. I started working when I was 14, 16. I don't even fucking know. I was throwing hay bales in a farm field for 50 cents or for a nickel, a bale.
Okay. I was gonna say, damn, we're
I was fucking throwing them coins. But no, I would get a nickel, a bale of hay, every one I threw from the field to the barn. And no, not fucking yeeting it like a Thor. No, like put it on the truck, move it to the truck. I have to explain this because some people are like, a nickel for a bale? What the fuck is the guy talking about? Yo, that's what I'm talking about. Google it. fucks. So yeah, I mean that's what I did, and then I got a job selling cigarettes to minors. No, I got a job. I was a minor selling cigarettes to people I shouldn't have. And I did that until I was 18, and then when I was 18, I worked until I was 21, and then when I was 21, I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. Cause I tell you this, I can't just sit there and go out and do whatever the fuck I want. I got bills. So I skipped the journey. I don't regret a lot in my life. I really don't. But this year, not this year, but last year really made my eyes open up with we don't have a lot of time, and we don't have the time that is necessary or the time we want. It's about how you spend it. So if we have to take 3 years to get to when we do the podcast I really would love to do, I'm going to enjoy the path to there. If there's some rocky hills, like Joseph wants to beat me with a baseball bat, and then guess what? Batter up. Because it's... I don't like you thinking about that, you motherfucker. He's like, well, actually...
You're due for one drop kick.
One slap. How about that? One slap.
It's a... Trust me, I'm no expert on close quarters combat. You're safer with the drop kick.
Dude, but you're not short, but you're shorter than me, so your drop kick could be a perfect dick shot. I won't have kids. I want little me's running around. They won't be little, but I want little me's.
I said this to you, but just so the audience knows, I'm a tall person, but I have the posture of the lowercase letter R. So yeah, you're protect your dick. That's all I gotta say.
And it will be protected. But the wrap of this like main segment of like the podcast, like what we're doing, it's just a massive thank you everyone. Like once again, wouldn't be here if we didn't get a view. Because honestly, I would lose the want to make the podcast. But being able to actually, when you get enough views, well, YouTube actually gives you fucking analytics. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And for long form content, posting and getting, no joke, you can go back on the channel, 7 views a video to now over 20 views a video in 3 years for podcasting. Yeah, we're not no fucking Bruce Willis, but you know what? We like a pubic hair of his, so we're getting there. I'm on fire!
Poor Bruce Willis. The man can't even talk anymore. My dad hated Bruce Willis, by the way. He used to call him Dick Willis. Hey,
what?
Dick Willis.
Why?
I don't know. My dad just he didn't like anything fictional. He would only watch a movie if it was based on a true story. Now, I sat with them while we watched the final act of the Alamo, and that was the most unrealistic depiction of how I think the Alamo went down. Okay, Indians were just being picked off left, right, and center. It was like these muskets were just on auto reload. It was like this was it was hilariously unrealistic. So, but I wanted to I wanted to say something about what you said about growing up.
Go ahead,
and
sir.
I always felt like I was a pretty mature person from the get-go. But like you, there's that fight between the two wolves in our heads. There's the immature wolf and there's the mature wolf. And I've let the immature wolf and the kid wolf win a lot of battles. And it is difficult to look back on a lot of my time and think about all the things that I did that were suboptimal. A lot of time spent gaming. A fair amount of time watching consenting adults have sex on camera or watching an illustration of it. TV shows, comic books, sleeping in. A lot of these little things that make life enjoyable on a day-to-day basis. It's this continuous frustrating irony that the more that we spend trying to enjoy our lives and have some gratification, the more it's we're being punished for it in the long run by not having our stability, not having the income that we expected to have, not having homes, not having families. A lot of the stuff just is frustrating. And what I was taught through the coaching podcast that I do now, the Impactful Coaching Podcast, is whatever experience that you have, regardless of where it came from, regardless of whether it was bronze experience or platinum experience, everything that you've done is worthwhile if you know how to convert it into something useful. So I spent my entire life like with a roof over my head, a family that provides for me, and that hasn't changed. And now I'm back to that now. And so when I write, I my writing style is domesticated fantasy. I'm not planning on writing adventures where they go into like a mountain somewhere and fight a dragon, or I'm not writing like an epic like I don't know space thing either. I'm just writing stories about people who have to like work in fantasy settings, people who are capable of great things, but then they have to deal with the day-to-day frustrations that we have to deal with. That's more what I want to write about. That's just me like taking the time that I thought I wasted and trying to do something useful with it.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting on how we always think we're wasting time when we're not wasting time, because it's building us up to what we're going to do in the future. It's like right now people would say this podcast is a waste of time. Maybe. But it's like, but what happens in the future? Because I will say this, like you said, doing this podcast that didn't pay you anything, that didn't give you any kind of like massive value at the time, has now got you to get your editing a little bit better, to get your lighting a little bit better, get your camera quality a little bit better, learn a few new things, and get people that you can actually say, I need you for a minute. And people would actually be there and not to immediately go, so it's like, it gives you value in the future. So it's like right now, it's like, it's hard to look back at the past and go, damn, I fucked up. But I know I grew up too fast. For me, I grew up too fast, physically too. I have stretch marks everywhere because I literally grew too fast. Steroids, kids. So like that's what happened. It makes sense. But yeah, no, I mean that's kind of I don't know. I had in mind of where I was gonna like lead the snake to, and then I got hard, so I forgot. The blood went to the wrong place. But no, you're 100% correct. And don't take your time for granted, kids. Enjoy your life. You know, it might sound do what makes you happy. Do the responsible things. Be safe. And just don't look at everything as a regret. Look at what you could do with that knowledge in the future. My button mashing. Never thought that would come in handy. Now I'm over here fucking... Wii U? Got it. Oh, man. I love how I can take anything from a... This is a good conversation, too. What are you doing with everything you're saying? I mean, it's still a comedy podcast. Like, it will be like this/comedy. Because we are funny. Me and Joseph are funny fucking people. Me, Funker, and Joseph are big fucking funny people. Me, Joseph, Charles, and Funker, we're a bunch of people. Charles is okay. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say Charles is hilarious.
Yeah, Charles. So Charles is a very, very funny person when he's not tired. If he's tired, you want to hold him. You want to be like, Charles, buddy, I got you, man. Because he's just tired, and he has... Charles, please don't take any offense to this. He has, like, baby I will hold you sounds. Like, he's like, oh, I'm tired, and I want to do... And it's like, Charles, I got you, buddy. But when he's awake, and it has a gordita crunch... Bro, you try to play Fortnite with this dude, you'll be like, hey, Charles, you in the game yet? No, it's not loaded yet. Okay. Then he's like, let's fucking do this! I'm like, where are you? You didn't even say you were in yet. He's like, yeah, well, I loaded in and I didn't see you, so I hopped out. It's like, bro, funny fucking dude. Love that man. 9 years, guys. 9 years I've known this fucker. And it's the last year we're cutting things off. It's been too long. I knew him longer than I've known Brittany, and I've been with Brittany since I was 18, so that says something. Jailbait. um, yeah. So, with that kind of being arrested, uh, what's been going on with you? How's the book? How's is the strike thing over with? Last time we talked about it on the
Oh yeah, yeah.
podcast, and now
Yeah. The strike's done. It's just it's pretty cold right now, so there's not a lot to shoot. The film industry is typically at its busiest in the spring and summer, which is why the strike had to take place during the spring and summer because there was more leverage. Right now, there's some stuff being shot, but it's not all that much. Yeah, January was probably like the slowest month that I had in quite a while, but I needed it. I needed to just take some time away and just get on the old World of Warcraft and spend hours hitting animals with a hammer. Excuse me. Oh, I spent. First. I want to tell you what was one of the best lessons that I had learned in a long time. This was from um, one of my newer clients, Pavel Koryagin, and he works on a. I'm cutting his name out because it's terrible things that I've said. I can't associate with him on the fucking show, so I ain't fucking not go fucking going there. But
fair.
one of the clients that I had picked up, he taught me about the idea that a work is not always tiring, and in fact, if you do the right work, it can actually have a restorative quality to it, where people can actually feel more energized from what they do. And I think like hobbies are a good indicator of this. Some people are really into knitting or basket weaving or pottery or painting Warhammer figurines, just things that can really instill a sense of satisfaction. And that's what writing had become for me, to the point where I started to feel a sense of dissatisfaction with a lot of the other stuff that have been going on as far as like my editing and my media work had been going. And so the today and yesterday, I was at a coffee shop, probably about 2 or 3 hours each. Had my K-pop playlist on. I I I get a sweet tooth, so when
Yeah,
music is basically just musical sugar, I'm on board with it.
fair.
Um, okay, now I'm gonna sidetrack on that. What's really cool about like listening to music from another country is that I don't want to like technically learn everything. I don't want to always look behind the curtains and understand how things work. I like my music to have that mysterious quality to it where I don't really understand it, but I just focus on feeling it. So for that reason, listening to people singing in another language and I only understand like a couple of words at best is actually pretty cool. So
Okay.
it doesn't distract me, right? I'm hearing people sing. I have no idea what the fuck they're saying, so it doesn't distract me. I'm just doing my work. So the book is currently at about 175 pages. Although I think once I start formatting some of the mistakes that I made, it's probably closer to 150 right now. But once I get through the second or third draft, I'm aiming to actually inject a lot more material into it. So it could be anywhere between 200 300 pages, which is a huge accomplishment for me. This is the best creative work that I had done. But there are a number of challenges. The first challenge is that the book world leans heavily left, leans heavily progressive, and leans heavily liberal. And so the moment that these people find out I'm a Trump supporter, they're just going to kick me out. So I have to figure out a target market that is essentially like people who typically don't read a lot of books, because I don't read that many books. Why?
Mhm.
Because I don't want to. I like fantasy the most out of any genre, but because I grew up playing games, I got to enjoy actually kind of interacting in the narrative on my own terms. I'm the one playing the character. I get to do that. You get Zelda, which is more like controlled narratives, or like Skyrim, where you get to really decide the narrative for yourself within the confines of the game, or whatever mods you get. Which certainly remove any semblance of confines at that point. There's fucking hentai Skyrim mods now. So when I would look at fantasy books on the shelves, none of them appealed to me because they were always trying to sell me on the plot. I can ad lib a fantasy plot for you off the top of my head. A princess from another realm is caught up by sailors, and one of the sailors is also a prince. Will they find love? Will the kingdom of New Blastonia regain the title of Crown of Dragons? Will the Sword of the Seas will once again emerge from the Lake of Louisa? Like it, I get why fantasy readers love it. They want to just enter into this other world and read it, but it just never appealed to
Yeah.
me. So, out of respect for the industry, I am looking to read books that are a combination of fantasy and comedy because that's what I'm writing. So, I am willing to do my due diligence. I am willing to do market research, but I'm not going to lie to these people and say I've been a lifelong reader. I have about 100 books that I've read over the course of my lifetime, which is not a lot. Some of these people in the book world brag about reading 10 books a week. So, I can't win that game. But
I
what
can't
I
read.
can do is well, I mean, that I I'm not sure if that's my target market either, but we'll see. But what I can do is take everything that I know about what makes games good, what makes TV shows good, what makes movies good, what makes anime good, what makes story good, and I'm setting up a lot of things for the future so that if it becomes commercially successful and there actually is a chance that it could be adapted into other mediums, I'm ready for it.
Hmm.
And I remember when I was growing up, my family, I mean, we would afford food and a roof and the internet, but we didn't have a lot of the same luxuries that a lot of other people had. So they would talk about TV shows that I couldn't watch because they were subscribed to channels that we weren't getting, like Dragon Ball Z, anything that along those lines we couldn't watch. I watched like on the Fox that we got, Fox Rochester, we get like the first 26 episodes of Pokemon, and then just kept looping over and over again, just like ended up on some random episode. But The Simpsons came out every Sunday, new episodes, and everybody got to watch that, whether you were on satellite or you were on antenna, or you were just like peering through your neighbor's thing and you were really good at lip reading. Everybody got to watch The Simpsons, and that's where my inspiration now, which is to create something that everyone has an opportunity to enjoy, has that like enough of a mass media appeal that anyone can get on board. So it's a, I mean, and the whole reason why I wanted to write a book in the first place was because it is the only thing that I can finish on my own terms. I've spent thousands of dollars um, hiring illustrators to make comics. And the comics turned out pretty good, but I don't have thousands more dollars to keep this going. It would have taken tens of thousands of dollars before I could like keep that consistency going and gain a following out of it. I so books are kind of like for me, it's a matter of circumstance. I have to write a book. It's the only thing that I can accomplish that I can actually like put myself to the test and say, can I get this fucking thing done?
Hmm. So I do have a question. I think the audience can also kind of connect with this as well. When you release your book, is that gonna fulfill your accomplishment, or will seeing someone actually purchase it fulfill it? And if they do, how many will it actually take to fulfill your, like, what's gonna actually give you that satisfactory? Or do you have a like a, and I might sound a little fucking stupid, hold up, but, or are you deeply worried that even though you release it, nothing's going to give you that sign of satisfactory unless if it's a multi-million-dollar book?
Mhm. Okay, cool. So being prepared for success is something that I don't think everybody does because I don't think everybody believes that they are capable of that. My longtime philosophy has been always try to get to the top of Mount Olympus. Even if you fail, the gift shop is still pretty nice. So no matter what, always go for the most ambitious thing possible, but try to be practical about it. I'm planning for how this will all connect and how this will all work. I've planned out 6 books in it, and I've planned the spin-off novels to do as well. So the worst case scenario, I'm working as a writer because I love it. I have so much satisfaction. Even just when I was at the coffee shop a couple of hours this morning and at the cafe a couple of hours yesterday, just to think and to suddenly be surprised and delighted by how I can move the plot forward. I'll give you an example of a scenario that happens later on in the book, where our party, the group of main characters, are are trying to get through this abandoned city. Well, it's not actually abandoned. There are several factions who are all fighting against one another, and it becomes this like escalating scene where they get caught by one group, who then gets caught by another group, who then gets caught by another group, who gets caught by another group, and then eventually, so many people are on this roof, the whole roof collapses. And there's a lot more to it than that, but that to me was like, this is the funniest way I can play this scene out. And I was thinking about that. How the fuck is this scene gonna work for like weeks? And then it just came to me. So having that book released will give me something to show people that, hey, I can write, I can do this, I deserve to be a writer. I might, maybe I don't deserve to be as large as J.K. Rowling or George R. R. Martin, maybe not yet. But I aimed to be a working writer by the time I'm 40, and my impatience is setting in. I said, you know what, never mind. I just want to get started on this now. So if like it doesn't sell a single copy, the satisfaction of like I can see this through to the end. It's got the cover, it's got my author's name to it, it has got everything. It is a done complete commercial product. Yeah, that is the as bad as it's gonna get for me. But I'm also strategizing for how I'm going to grow this thing. And remember what I talked about in the last episode is what are all of these other people doing on TikTok to promote themselves as authors? And as much as I should try to be diplomatic about it, like I said, once they find out I'm a Trump supporter, they're not going to care for me anyways. So, why bother? The amount of narcissism that I have seen in the author world is shocking. I have watched anywhere between 300 to 400 individual TikTok videos. We're talking like a minute here, 30 seconds there. And a lot of people have given out a lot of great advice. I have taken a lot of that great advice, but I have only at most seen the titles of people's books. People are not talking about how they're integrating the advice they're giving and showing examples of it in their material. People are not talking about how their story is precious to them. They're not talking about what contribution to society they want to make with their material. I'm doing all of that. I I am going to I'm not going to give advice right away because what the fuck do I know? But at the very least, I can talk about taking advice, how I'm understanding advice, what advice am I rejecting, what advice am I absorbing, share parts of my world, like how does the weapons work, how does combat work, what are the magic systems, what are the things that I'm changing about just everyday the everyday lived experience. I can't I want to talk about it so bad. And to come from that place of true genuine passion is enough of a motivator. So I don't see how this can fail at this point. I mean, the material is there, the promotion is there, and I think that there is a market that is really hungry for a book that is not about excluding people, that is about being for people who don't really typically read because they don't feel like books are for them.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about the Orville a couple of times on the show. Seth MacFarlane, there's somebody that wouldn't give me the time of day when he finds out I'm a Trump supporter. But what he did with the Orville is the perfect way to appeal to a wide audience and then help shape the tastes over time. The very first scene in the Orville, his character walks in on his wife being cheated on by uh, I forget the name of the other race, but the man is like blue head to toe, and he's got like fins, kind of like an aquatic creature.
An
And then
avatar.
he well, they have sex with the tails, right? This guy was just having good old penis and vagina sex, and
Damn.
then he orgasms, and then fluid just like shoots all over the place. Seth's character Ed Mercer gets hit in the face with a bunch of blue cum, and then he says, "Well, I'm getting a divorce," and then and he leaves. And then it picks up from his story, maybe like a month or two later when he's like, actually, it might have been longer than that, might have been like a year. Point being is that he's trying to get over, divorcing his wife, and then by the end of the episode, his wife is now his commanding officer, and so the very relatable, like, now you have to work with someone who you used to live with and marry and thought this was going to be the love of your life, and that tension. But he did a really crass joke. Right? He's good at crass jokes, but
Mm-hmm.
he's a really smart dude. Like, he's educated, he can sing, he's got all of these abilities that could come across as pretentious, but he packaged it in a way that dude bros in college can laugh at it, that people who are high like myself can laugh at it,
Right now.
that it could just be put on passively. I'm on residuals, you know. Um,
Appreciate the honesty.
yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And so I had that same plan too. I learned from that trick. So like one of the first scenes in my book is the guy has a come out because his pet bird, like the chocobos from Final Fantasy, large enough that you can ride around on.
Mm-hmm.
His pet moss. I'm trying to think of the name. It was like an ostrich or a mole bird or something like that. And his pet bird is like, what's wrong? Your bird's horny. Yeah, your bird's been just masturbating the last few months, and she's getting pissed off. She wants to have real sex. He's like, oh fuck. Okay, well, if you can just get me to work today, then I'll let you go have sex with whoever you want. And so I think starting the story with a masturbating pet bird, I think is a really accessible place for a lot of
I'm
people.
hooked.
Yeah, because that's what I want to show. Is like I don't want to be an excluder. I want to be an includer. And I think what's happened is that a lot of the so-called like inclusive people have actually turned into exclusive elitist gatekeepers. That as soon as you veer off, your point of view veers off even slightly from the compound, you're done. They'll refer to J.K. Rowling's material, but they won't even say her name. They'll say she who not be named for her views. It's I'm going up against an industry that will not make the time of day for me. So I have to figure out a completely new and
Yeah.
unconventional way to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really fascinating, really interesting challenge that I'm all for. And well, if maybe they don't figure out the whole political thing, because like I have like an author name instead of my usual name, so I can throw up a few smoke and mirrors and see if I can get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I am just like, if I can just somehow get a job writing out of this, then I that again. So I know it's a long answer, but what the hell are you
It's
gonna
an
do, right?
answer.
This is what podcasts are all about. So if I can, at the very least, secure paid work as a writer, then that is a great outcome for the effort that I have put in. But then the last thing that I want to say about this, and I've been in this position before where I was trying to forget. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. It's my podcast now. Oh no.
So this is a scrapbook from elementary school. This was in the 7th or 8th grade, and it when we would have these book fairs, where you go in, you can buy a couple of books. One of them was How to Draw Manga, and so I was taking some of these are pretty old illustrations. Most of these are traced right out of the book, but at the end of it, I just like started doing a comic. So these characters are almost as old as I am. They're about 20 years old. They have been stewing in my brain for 20 years. That is a long, long time to get to know somebody. I know these characters so well that when they exist in my subconscious and my unconscious, they're talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
They're improvising. They're helping me tell the story. It's like working with actors because I know them so well. I don't think everybody has that going for them.
No.
I think a lot of people have just watched current trends, figuring out what are the current archetypes that are working well, and and are running with it and are finding success, and I wish them well. But I'm sort of like in a vacuum. I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So for one, great answer. Two, you can definitely
Water
tell
after
the
that.
passion is there. So already, like once it's released, it's impossible for it to fail. Especially the way you put it. Now, with that also being stated, though, they're so like you even said, even if this only happened in a year down the line, you get a writing gig and this book had something to do with it. Ghostwriters are a thing. When one person gets success, you really think that person's writing 13 other books? And fuck no, he's writing something that was not dissimilar to his first book, but has a weird connection to their first book, and then they start doing that. I'm not an author. I don't fucking know. But I will say this: when you're doing voice acting, you don't sit there and go, I'm gonna voice act for the Powerpuff Girls, and then immediately go, I'm gonna be Johnny Depp, Pirate of the Caribbean. No, you sit there and you stay in that kind of zone. I'm only in horror games. For those of you who actually do know, Ghost of Tomorrow. But I am in horror games, so it's like I don't go anywhere else. If it's not a horror game, I'm not like, oh, okay, cool. Like I stay in that area. So an author, I would imagine, would stay in that area, but he's not gonna write fucking 13 books in 2 years, unless if he's a very fast masturbator. There's no way that's gonna happen.
No, I'm a slow stroker. It's like, hey, if you're gonna watch a horror movie for an hour and a half because you're gonna be scared for an hour and a half, you can watch an action movie so you can have adrenaline for an hour and a half. You can watch a comedy to laugh for an hour and a half, but you're gonna masturbate in 2 minutes? Nah, man. Your sexual organs deserve better than that. I say charge it up for like once every 2 weeks or something like that, and have yourself like a nice session. I don't, not a fan.
Okay, this is gonna be a very gross side note. Mom, if you're listening to this, please turn it off now. So for me, dude, long. I don't like doing it, so I just go as fast as I can.
Okay.
Every single time, just hurry up and trying to be like, it's too much. Because here's the problem: I'm a very, very productive person to the point I don't take time to myself, and that is why I suffer with depression very, very badly. And so I don't take time to myself when I need it. And so when my brain is like, just saying, I will find anything that I'm attracted to on like the hub or whatever, find it, and I'll just be like, yeah, that works. And 30 seconds or less. That is not something I should be proud about, but
I understand. Like there are times where I don't have the time, so it's just gonna be a quick one. So that's all well and good. But when I was growing up, and before the internet, before I had access to the internet, there was some televised stuff that we would see like late on a Friday, and it was all softcore. So we didn't see any penetration. You were there for the tits and the butts and the pelvises, and that was it. And I also didn't know what masturbating was. No idea. So I would just watch and enjoying the stimulation was an early lesson about journey, not destination. So I think that the art of stimulation is kind of lost on the Pornhub generation. So for me, it was almost like coming full circle. Sorry, but just to kind of like, okay, hang on a second. Let me actually like enjoy the artistic side of it. Let me enjoy the narrative to it. Let me actually like kind of get into the characters and let there be an informed performance. I don't do it every time, but I think it is worth doing from time to time to just kind of like
100%.
yeah.
Because
Anyways,
I'm a man who I'm a man that likes, a story, but as a man, sometimes you just gotta get going. You just gotta get it moving. That's all it is. But I did just look over at our time, and we've been recording for an hour. It felt like 20 minutes. So, with that being said, we don't want this podcast to go too extremely long. So real fast, just want to put on the notes of some upcoming things to look forward to. Hopefully by the time this is out, I would have finished Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Hopefully, can finally get that achievement. I have been actually posting fucking content now. That's been a whole thing. I'm excited about that. Life sucks in a positive way. Finally had a day off. I had my first day off this last Monday. Fucking great. Loved every minute of it. And, but the biggest thing to look forward to is, by the time you listen to this, it'll be way past Valentine's Day. So hopefully you got some, yeah, hopefully I will actually finish Five Nights at Freddy's 3, have it posted, and that right there is a huge like hurdle to go over for me. So it's a challenge in itself not to play the game, but the reasons why I'm playing the game. So I'm excited for it. But that's kind of all the updates that I can give. That it's gonna be fucking good. Hopefully the podcast we can move it in the right directions. And any last kind of tosses, any updates that might happen in that near future time period, and yeah.
Right now, I'm trying to save up money to build my next beast computer. I I'm due for I'm been long overdue for one. I'm on a pretty good laptop right now, but it's had a lot of like glitches and stuff like that, and it's pretty frustrating. So later this week, I gotta turn it in for a defect exchange before my 90 days are up. I don't want to do that. I don't because I almost feel bad. I feel bad for the computer. It's like, what are they
Mm-hmm.
gonna do to it? I hope they fix it. I hope they make it workable again. Would hate to see this thing just get thrown away because of some circumstances that are beyond people's control. So I'm motivated to build up my next computer so that I want to get more into AI because AI is definitely going to be the next major game changer. The internet allowed me to subvert a lot of the things that I was expected to do, and now AI is going to let me do it again. AI will probably, at the very least, do the rough draft of the cover. So then I can turn it over to an illustrator and say, okay, I need you to take this home. But
Mm-hmm.
if AI can just give me exactly what I want, I don't care. I'm using the robots.
Yep.
I am going to talk to you about. I want to share my vision for like how I want to do my author videos, and
Mm-hmm.
so I just want to talk through like what would be the best workflow so that I don't like have to dump 12 hours into each one of these because then it'll just burn me out anyways. I intend to. I got to clean up my act a little bit, as much as I am ready to move on from media by the time I'm 40. It'll never fully be gone. So I want to like nurture the projects that I do have right now. And if I do pick up another client, it's someone that's going to have to pay me more, like twice of what I've been making. Um, yeah, that's it out of me. World of
Yeah.
Warcraft. Fuck me. I dude, okay. Let,
Nah.
let, World of Warcraft. If you ask me what I think was the best video game ever made, World of Warcraft is my answer. But only vanilla World of Warcraft. It was this flash in a pan where there was so much organic player versus player content. It wasn't driven by an incentive or gaining items or score or anything like that. That all came later. But at its peak, it was just two warring factions trying to get stuff done, getting in each other's way, and organic fights just kept breaking out, and it was so pristine, it was so pure, it was so good. And then when Burning Crusade, the first expansion released, Blizzard was at this crossroads. Do we service the PvP crowd or do we service the PvE crowd? And they went with the service the PvE crowd. 12 expansions later, millions of dollars produced both monthly and then upfront because of the expansion purchases. So it's always been this tragic thing where like this game that I really loved eventually it just is not compatible with my taste as a gamer anymore. But currently they've re-released Vanilla World of Warcraft with some add-ons called Season of Discovery. It's been a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it immensely. I'm doing a lot of stuff that I didn't do before, like raiding. So that's been great. And I just give me a second. Let me just think if I have any other cool updates for you.
Yeah.
Work phone. I mean, I was. Oh yeah. I can't say that I'm gonna quit smoking because there's
Why?
always social settings.
Yeah.
But but for the last month or so, I made it a daily habit of like going outside, hitting the bowl or hitting my weed vaporizer, and and I haven't touched either of those at least for about 3 or 4 days now. And the reason why is because I caught a cold and I didn't get stuffed up or anything like that, but the congestion, the phlegm was very thick around my lungs. And so at around 1 a.m. on a Wednesday morning, Tuesday night in the colloquial sense, I woke myself up unable to breathe. And I started going, it was pretty scary.
Yeah.
I My dad has this problem too. I've seen him wheeze and struggle to regain air, and sometimes it took him minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes before he can breathe normally again. And there's not a direct smoking gun that pardon the expression, that points to smoking as the cause of it, but it sure wasn't helping. So I was given a warning saying, do you want to fear for your life every so often? Keep smoking. So I've switched over to just using weed oils. It's easy. The downside with the weed oil is that I'll take it and then I won't feel it for another 2 hours. So I had to plan it a little bit more, but obviously it's much safer. It goes right in my coffee or my tea or even in just water or even just like right under the tongue. And I'm just personally, I am proud of this particular resolution because it's not a matter of just like, oh, you know what, this would be in my best interest. I just shouldn't do that. No, I was fucking scared for my life. I can't I need to respect myself more than that. So for people who and a funker, he's a smoker too. So he's not here in this to kind of like give some counterweight to it, but whatever. But like COVID has really changed a lot of people's internals in ways that we're not sure about just yet. So if you can cut back, cut back. If you can stave off of it completely, stave off of it completely. It's I don't want people to, except for a few people who I hate. I don't want people to go through what I went through earlier this week. It was truly one of the most frightening things. I couldn't sleep the entire night afterwards. I was afraid to fall asleep. So and hilariously, I would have written this as a joke, but I was prescribed. I have to take 2 puffs of this inhaler twice a day, and if I have a reaction to it, I take the other inhaler.
The red one or the blue one?
So,
so the red one kills you.
and they also tell you, by the way, that you have to like rinse your mouth out after you're done so that mold doesn't appear. Like, oh man, the doctor was nice. It's nice to have a nice doctor.
Yeah.
But it's just you can't come up with stuff that funny.
No.
Just organically. To take the one puffer starts to make you actually have a harder time breathing. Take the second puff or that shit. Well, what happens if that one doesn't work? Well, then you're just dead.
If that one doesn't work, go back to the red one. Bitch, if the red one didn't work and the blue one didn't work, then we go back to the red one. It's like, well, which one felt better? A Glock right now.
Maybe you should just identify as better.
Maybe you just should identify that you're fucked up. And you should see a doctor. Bitch, who are you? I'm Greg down the road.
I don't know what it is, but it feels like after COVID, doctors are just looking for any reason now to do blood work. Yeah, I'll just show up and be like, yeah, so I'm here to pick up my prescription. Okay, Mr. Joseph, we just need you to make a fist.
See, I have never gotten blood work done, but on this weight loss journey, I actually am going to have to get my blood work done. And I'm just like, cool. I just want to know, so in case I like have cancer or some dumb shit. But also, I found out could be low testosterone, stuff like that. So get your blood work done. But in the same boat, I'm like, they're gonna check for cancer, bro. I'm gonna end up having like some fucking anal cancer or some shit. And that's gonna be ironic. Or I'm gonna get fucking breast cancer, because that's what I support and rally for, is breast cancer awareness. I'm gonna get fucking breast cancer. That's gonna be stupid. It's gonna be stupid. No, if anyone gets it, it should be me anyways. I'm a bitch. So, with that being stated, I think I was the biggest bitch of our podcast, doing the video challenges, and they will come back eventually, just not now. But with that all being stated, I hope you guys have a lovely few days. By the time this comes out, it'll be my birthday, so happy birthday to me. And with that all being said, goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Ba-da-ba-da-da!
A whole year without getting hot sauce on my dick.